classification proposed by R.H. Whittaker. History dates back to 300 BC, when for the first time attempts were made by Aristotle. And after that, several scientists have worked on it. Finally, the system of classification which is accepted all over the world was given by R.H. Whittaker, and he gave the 5 kingdom of classification. These 5 kingdoms are: first, kingdom Monera. Kingdom Monera. Second kingdom is called Protista. Third kingdom is called Fungi, and fourth kingdom is called Plantae, and the fifth kingdom is called Animalia. So these are the 5 kingdoms proposed for all the living organisms. Now we will be talking about the characteristics of each kingdom. So we begin with Monera. Monera is a group of very simple, they are the simplest organisms. They are unicellular, they are microscopic, and most important, they are prokaryotic in nature. I have written this in capital because this you have to remember. All the others are eukaryotic in nature. Monerans, or the kingdom Monera, is made up of prokaryotic organisms. Prokaryotic, you have learnt earlier, are those that lack a well-defined nucleus. Since they are unicellular, they are made up of a single cell, which lacks a well-defined nucleus. By well-defined nucleus, we mean that the nuclear membrane is absent and the genetic material lies freely in the cytoplasm. Genetic material lies freely in the cytoplasm. This genetic material is in the form of a circular strand of DNA. Besides the absence of a well-defined nucleus, all membrane-bound organelles, all organelles that are bound by a membrane, all membrane-bound organelles are also absent. For example, let us say mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi complex or Golgi body, and other membrane-bound organelles are absent. Common examples of these are bacteria, cyanobacteria. Cyanobacteria are the blue-green algae. The other name for cyanobacteria is blue-green algae. Now, these have different modes of nutrition. Some of them are autotrophic. Some forms which are able to manufacture their food are autotrophic. Others are heterotrophic. And hetero means different modes of nutrition. Trophic means nutrition. Heterotrophic, when I say they are heterotrophic, means some forms are saprophytic, that is they depend on dead organic matter, saprophytes. Some forms are parasitic, that is those that live on a living host, derive their nutrition from a living host. And some forms are even symbiotic. Symbiotic means they form a mutually beneficial relationship with another organism. Like there are many blue-green algae, there are many bacteria which live in collaboration with other plants or animals. So these are like, for example, Rhizobium bacteria. Rhizobium bacteria, you all know, lives in the root nodules of leguminous plants. So this is a symbiotic relationship where the bacteria and the plant develop a mutually beneficial relationship where both are benefiting from each other. That kind of a relationship is called symbiotic. In parasitic, the organism is pathogenic, causes a disease in a living host, and saprophyte, those that derive nutrition from dead organic matter. And auto means self, means they are able to synthesize food themselves. They can be photosynthetic, they can be chemosynthetic. Photo means where they are taking energy from sun. The source of energy is light. And chemo means where they are chemosynthetic bacteria are those where they are deriving energy from some inorganic chemicals. So this was about the first kingdom, Monera. Examples of Monerans are bacteria, cyanobacteria, and the blue-green algae. Now we come to the second kingdom, Protista. Protista are also simple organisms. They are unicellular, microscopic, but they are eukaryotic in nature. Eukaryotic means they have a well-defined nucleus, which means the genetic material is enclosed in a double nuclear membrane. Is this enclosed in a double nuclear membrane? Besides having a well-defined nucleus, they also have membrane bound organelles like mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi complex, etc. Now, the protists can be photosynthetic, that is, they can manufacture their food. They can be saprophytic, or they have a heterotrophic mode of nutrition, which we even call as holozoic mode of nutrition. I will explain these terms. Photosynthetic means those protists that are plant-like. Plant-like means they have a cell wall and they have the green pigment chlorophyll. And because of this chlorophyll, presence of chlorophyll, they are able to perform the process of photosynthetic. So they have been placed under photosynthetic protists. Example of these are diatoms, then desmids, that is the yellow-brown algae, then euglena, euglenoids. These are examples of the photosynthetic protists. The saprophytic protists are the slime molds. They depend on dead organic matter for food. And heterotrophic, having a holozoic mode of nutrition, are the protozoans, protozoa. Protozoa are the organisms belonging to phylum Protista. Like in this we have amoeba, paramecium, and you know euglena has a flagellum. Euglena is leaf-like like this, and has a flagellum, whereas amoeba is indefinite in shape, have pseudopodia, and paramecium is slipper shaped like this and they have cilia. So the locomotory organs, those that help the protist to move from one place to another, can be flagella, can be cilia, or pseudopodium, that is false feet. Because pseudopodia is found in amoeba, which is irregular in shape. Its shape changes because of formation of pseudopodia in a particular direction, either towards food or some other stimuli. So this is about second kingdom, Protista. Now you will see these kingdoms are based on characters from very simple to complex. That is, these forms move from less complex to more complex forms. So this is evolutionary relationship, grouping them into groups with common characteristics based on their evolutionary history, based on their complexity in life forms. So now we move to the third kingdom, fungi. Fungi are also eukaryotic in nature. That is, they have a well-defined nucleus. Fungi are also eukaryotic in nature. They have a well-defined nucleus. They have membrane-bound organelles. But fungi, they are non-green in color. That is, they lack chlorophyll, cannot perform the process of photosynthesis. They are saprophytic, depend on dead organic matter for food. Some forms are parasitic also, which cause diseases in living organisms. Their cell wall of cells making up fungi is made up of chitin. Most forms of fungi are multicellular. There are exceptions, like unicellular fungi is yeast, made up of just one cell, whereas most of them are multicellular, like the bread mold Rhizopus. There are other fungi that cause diseases, Astilago, Puccinia. Fungi also produce antibiotics like penicillin. Penicillium fungus produces antibiotics. So these are examples of fungi. Another characteristic, besides being non-green, their cell wall is made up of chitin, whereas we see in plants the cell wall is made up of cellulose. Then they reproduce by spores, and examples I have already told you. This is a unicellular fungus, these are multicellular fungus. Now body of these fungi in multicellular fungus is made up of strands called hyphae, and group of these hyphae are called mycelium. So they are a network of hyphae which make up the mycelium. Like if I tell you, this is a network of mycelium which produces the sporangiophore. They even have rhizoid-like structures. So this is the example of Mucor. Rhizopus has a strand mycelium which produces a vertical growth. Spores are produced in this sporangium. They have rhizoids here, root-like structure, which fix them to a substratum. Substratum means from which, because they are saprophytic, they fix to grow on some substances from which they obtain nutrition, dead organic matter. So this was about fungi. Then we come to the next kingdom, that is Plantae. Plantae are all green plants. These green plants are multicellular and eukaryotic in nature. They have, when I say they are all green, means they contain the pigment chlorophyll, and because of which they are able to perform the process of photosynthesis. This is a characteristic of plants. Then these plants are fixed in one place. They cannot move from one place to another. They have an unlimited growth, that is, plants keep growing in size, unlike animals which have a definite growth pattern. They have unlimited growth. They are multicellular. The cell wall of plant cells is composed up of cellulose. We have seen in fungi it is made up of chitin. In plants it is made up of cellulose. There are many ways of classifying plants, again based on less complex to more complex, which we will be doing after that. We will study the different groups of plants. Common examples, they can be simple, just one cell, like Chlamydomonas. We place them in the group algae. They can be mosses. There can be ferns. These are the groups. Then we have cycas, etc., which belong to gymnosperms, and the flowering plants which belong to angiosperms. So this is about the kingdom Plantae. Now we come to the fifth kingdom, Animalia. Animalia are also multicellular eukaryotic organisms having a well-defined nucleus in the cells, and membrane-bound organelles are also present. These are heterotrophic, do not contain chlorophyll. They depend on plants directly or indirectly for food, because plants are the only organisms that can synthesize food. When I say heterotrophic, again, they can be saprophytic, parasitic, or symbiotic. Different modes of nutrition, but directly or indirectly they are dependent on plants for food. Directly or indirectly dependent on plants for food. The cells of these lack a cell wall. Cell wall is absent in animal cells. Then they have a limited period of growth, or we can say they have a definite growth pattern. They don't keep on growing all their life. They have a definite growth pattern. They are not fixed. They locomote from one place to another, and mainly they locomote for two reasons. One is for shelter and the other is for food. Shelter means protection against enemies, and food. To obtain food they locomote. Various kinds of animals are there, from simple forms to the most complex forms. We will be going into the details. That is, after the kingdom Animalia, we are going to study about its different phyla, then even some classes. So this is about the 5 kingdom classification, history of classification, and the categories of classification that we have done today. So I will stop here and continue on the next turn. Good luck till then.